All right, President Bola Tinubu has filed an application before United States District Court of Columbia to stop the country's agencies from releasing records related to his residence in the country. The defendants in the suit are the Executive Office for U.S. Attorneys, U.S. Department of State, Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI), U.S. Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, and the Central Intelligence Agency, that's the CIA. The application was brought by Tinubu as an intervener following a Freedom of Information request dated July 21, 2022, made by an IT consultant, Aaron Greenspan. Now, although the U.S. agencies had reportedly claimed that the details of the president's files would not be made public until 2026 for what was termed unusual circumstances, the applicants have continued to push for the early release of the documents. We have still with us in-house Cyril Abaku and Great Imo, who joins us virtually. And Great, let me ask you this. Great, in your opinion, yes, how do you explain unusual circumstances that would make the U.S. say, okay, we're not releasing these documents just yet. We'll wait until 2026.
Well, you must understand that there is politics all over the world. Americans too play politics, and number one, when it has nothing to do with their national security, it has nothing to do with their national interest, to a great extent, they will not be under severe obligation to want to begin to help you herald what the situation is. So there are also lobbyists where, especially, you are dealing with African leaders or third world countries who have enough money to spread around. There are businessmen, political jobbermen also in America who can help you collect that money and lobby to want to help you maybe extricate or delay, the days of your literal embarrassment. So all of these things come to play. But at the same time, they also have a judicial system. So when you are dealing with the Americans and you understand the law and you follow the law, you will definitely get results. So sometimes it is because the law has not been activated. So when you hear that, oh, we want to delay this until so time, it's not to tell you that they don't have obligation to make that information available, because literally their Freedom of Information Act almost work pari passu with the First and Second Amendment, which deals with the freedom of speech and information. They go pari passu. Hence, both the citizen and the government are obliged to allow the citizens freedom of information, the freedom of speech, and to all of that. The only information government of America will not divulge to anybody is the information that has to do with their national security. But anything that has to do with the character of a person, it must be in the public space, because that is important for the health of their environment and for the health of their society. And so also it should be here. So it should be here. We should know the character we are dealing with, so we know what we are getting into. And we can't have our citizens whose records are held up in America, whose character can affect us positively or negatively, and we will be denied such opportunity. To be unfair on Nigeria. It's not for purpose of anybody. And I hate it when people begin to really personalize this, this social etiquette. You don't necessarily have to personalize it, because the person there is maybe your uncle, your tribal man, your religious man, your party man, your friend. No, it is about everybody. As I'm here, I used to tell people that literally I'm an open book. I'm not boasting about it. I'm an open book because each time I wake up in the morning or I'm working, I just sometimes I cast my mind back about friends I've had or people I know who have died. At that moment that you are no longer here, you have no explanation to give. But when you live here, from my own religious understanding, there is an explanation thereafter. So I am not too bothered about how you look at me. So I'm going to be free with you. If I have, you call me and say, do you have? I said, I have. If I don't have, I don't have. I don't know why people like to encumber this short time they have to live on this earth, become too ubiquitous and create a lot of crises for themselves and for the nation. So what is there? I once told somebody that when I finished primary school, I did not do common entrance exam because I could not afford it. I left, eventually got a scholarship to go to secondary school. When I eventually went to secondary school, I left secondary school many years before I went to do GCE. I had worked at the soil microbiology unit in IIT Ibadan about 1994 as a casual worker. Even if you want me to write my CV, I will tell you I was a casual worker. Before I worked there, before I came to Daily Times of Nigeria newspaper in my growing days of career, before Daily Times was privatized, and I moved to Position International Art Magazine. I have a history. I have bosses I've worked with, and I'm happy to have worked with them, to have gotten to where I am. Why would people want to distort even their God-given destiny? Because there are things you can't change about yourself. So there is nothing about this our life, because our people used to have a proverb that, let me use broken to say, when person die, na person go bath am naked. So what is all this?
Apparently, the president has been a very private person because little is known of his childhood, little is known of his teenage years.
There is no problem with that. If you want to remain a private citizen, you don't have a problem. But the day you choose to be a public servant, the office is called public office. It's public service. You come for public service. Everything you concerning you become public. If you don't want to remain a private citizen, you can't come and be the manager of our resources without we knowing what your qualification is. We are not asking you to bring your family matter to us. You cannot come and manage my resources when I have question about your integrity. What people don't understand, that Nigeria is a collective stuff, and we own it together. And no one individual is more an owner in this entity, in this investment than the other. So you can't come and bamboozle us and act like God handed over Nigeria to you. It is a public service. You want to serve governor, senator, whatever. Your life become a public event, and everybody must know about you and whatever that is needed to be known.
All right.
Anybody who does not like it should not come around.
Okay, thank you very much. Great email. Mr. Stereo, this question is for you. Talking about the fact that, I mean, Moses said the president is a private person. What is the reason behind the president's application to stop the release of these records? I mean, what would make him not want these records to be released? What do you think are the reasons?
Well, it's been adduced rather subtly, which is to say that, and perhaps maybe because he became president, he only became president in May. He is still in that private mood, that mood to think that it is privacy and that nothing must ruffle the feathers of privacy.
Okay.
But the reality is that when you're president of a country, you're no longer your own person. You're eating taxpayers, how you feed, what you wear, where you sleep. Yeah. The cars you ride in, the aircraft you travel in, is all funded by the taxpayer, who deserves the right to know, both morally and legally. It's now binding. They want to know, can we trust you enough? Can we follow you? do you have the capability to lead us? Are you able can we know enough of you to know whether you can lead us or not? In America, something happened one time, and I'll draw a Nigerian parallel. Woodrow Wilson, for the last 2 years of the administration, was ill. It was his wife that was ruling America indirectly. That can happen now. Times have changed. Yeah. In this country, there was a time a president was so sick he couldn't lead. He had to be taken overseas for medical. I'm talking about President Umar Musa Yar'Adua. The nation was basically on autopilot. We were waiting. We were just waiting for the day the president, would come back. Unfortunately, he couldn't continue in office. He passed. Yeah. So, but Nigerians be agitating. Where is the president? We need to know. You see, if the president was attending a function, there's a protocol that comes with it. He cannot just enter anywhere he likes. He cannot just leave anywhere he likes. As a matter of fact, there are some events the president must never attend. There are protocols for all these things. So the president has become public property. In America, they will say primus inter pares, the one among equals. Okay? So it means that what the president does and doesn't do matters to us. If he's not in his right frame of mind, he could sign off a document that could put this country in jeopardy. All right? Yeah. So he cannot claim to say he is a private citizen. Unfortunately, maybe somebody goes through a divorce and, the details of that matter are of course private. When he becomes president, the public will know. In America, George Bush said he was going to run for president. That same week or that same day, that he declared his intention to run, the news media was awash with the fact that 25 years before that time, he had been arrested for drunkenness or for drunk driving. If he didn't want to run for president, people wouldn't have known that. But as soon as he wanted to run for president, the records were there. So that we cannot know enough of our president. The fact that we want to know even shows that we are interested in him, that we enlist him as our president, and I want to know more about him and want to support and work with him. So to see this request from a hostile point of view is not really within the spirit of democracy. The president is a Democrat. The president is a lover of open government, of accountability, of transparency. He's a president who likes to engage with people, who likes to know people. So I think that we would like to know more about him. I don't think that there should be anything incriminating in those files. All right? Yeah. At most, travel history. We're
talking about 2,500 pages.
No,
that's a lot.
I mean,
to have travel history.
So Moses, not to take anything away from it, 8 years governor, former senator, former treasurer at Mobile. He had worked with some of the world's leading accounting firms. He's an accountant by training. He is exposed, widely traveled. He had lived in the US for some time. He came to Nigeria. I think he also has property in London, in the UK. So clearly, this is not a man of mean measure. He has the global stature. He is known. The American president stops short of calling him a friend. So this is a well-known man. Our president owns shares in Microsoft. He's a moneyed man. So if we think, why is it even more than 2,500? As a matter of fact, his Microsoft shares, he didn't buy them at Microsoft. I think we were first in IBM. When the merger acquisition took place, those shares moved from IBM to Microsoft. So he's a man. He's in the global space. So if travel history where he has been, I don't see anything more than that.
All right, then. Great. Let me ask you this question before we let you go. Now, first, when it was with Chicago State University, the president said, releasing the documents will cause irreparable damage to his person. Now, we are hearing he's also saying, don't release this. This is not good for my person. And then the FBI is saying, we may not release this just yet. We'll wait until 2026 because of unusual circumstances. Should we be worried as to, first off, why would the president think that the release of his certificates will cause irreparable damage? Whether or not we've been able to establish that is a different thing. Why? What are the unusual circumstances? I mean, the words being used, around this, shouldn't it be source of worry to Nigerians? Shouldn't we be looking like, okay, what exactly do we need to know? Great.
Okay. Let me start by saying that honestly, considering what we are seeing from the Chicago State University deposition, I think a man of his stature, the president of the largest black nation on earth, he was right to have said it, that it will cause irreparable damage, because aside the fact that Nigeria has become accustomed to shenanigans and all manner of nonsense, by now in many countries, for people to have discovered that, sorry to say, I hope I'm not misquoted, to have discovered that a certain document that was used to gain admission was a document from non-existent school. So without mentioning what it is, everybody have established that if a document is not from the issuing authority, we know what that is. We are just swallowing all this because maybe some people don't just want to rock the boat. In fact, in some countries by now, there will be protests. That is the honest truth. Forget that we are talking about President of Nigeria. These things rubs off on all of us, and he knew the implication. And as of that time, he was also going to United Nations, this hunger, which at that level, there are international media who could have picked up that content and begin to, how can you defend that? Now, the FBI, I eventually said that they will need for circumstantial reason and all that. But that was before these elements went to court in the US to enforce the rule of law. I think they have already jettisoned their earlier promise to release it in 2026. And let me say this, one of the problems Mr. President has is that the managers of his brand are also mismanagers of his brand, because perception is stronger than reality. Yes, whatever fictitious document we have found, many people have it in Nigeria, including a governor in Enugu, but they made it so obvious that there was something to hide and many people waited for it. And this is what people don't know. Sometimes the office of a president is not just for you to go there like average Nigerian things, politics, you get there, you are able to control the money. There is the glory that comes with it. There is honor that comes with it. And it's beyond Nigeria. When you have your president sitting with president of G20 countries and they are looking at the guy and say, man, this guy from his record, make he not even dupe me here. Make he not do me this. And you begin to wonder. Those things are the things that those who are seeking the office of the president must be careful about. It is not about them. It's not about we Nigerians, because all manner of shenanigans go on here. It is in this country you see presidents, governors, senators driving on convoy, driving against the traffic, but they don't do it in London. So they know that the glory that comes with this office, irrespective of how we downplay all these things, you can't go to America and you are sitting with a serious business-minded man is looking at you like, you mean that this guy used false document to gain admission into university and to have even presented a fake, even if you went to that university, that you could have the temerity to go and for document, he has undermined you, because if economies are built on faith, integrity of nations and leaders is key. And look at us, we have all the mineral resources, we can't build anything. Who can even come and invest in your country where everybody is termed a criminal and a forger and fraudster? We ourselves should know the implication of all this. He knows that if anything is found wanting, there is a problem. But the struggle to cover it was actually the biggest issue.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Great email. And we must say very big thanks to Cyril Abaku as well for staying with us on the program. Well, that's this is how far we can stretch this. We appreciate you for your time. We'll go on a break. When we come back, we get into business and sport and entertainment. Stay with us.